we are gathered here today to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Sisters of St. Joseph's Provincial House. Each of us is here because of some unique bond we have with this place and this religious community. Some of us moved here from seminary in Troy. Some came from the interim apostolate and novitiate, affectionately called 741. Some of us entered here. Some of us have ministered here throughout the years, while others of us have retired from active ministry here. And here in this our home, our ill and infirm sisters are cared for with compassion. Additionally, scores of lay colleagues, families, and friends were intricately involved in the early days of planning and execution, and as such, will always be a part of our history, as are those many lay people who are integral to the operation of the house today. In 1956, Mother Helen Patricia Delaney was advised to begin to plan for a move from the seminary in Troy, our province headquarters since 1908. The community's needs were growing, and due to the proximity to RPI, there was little room to expand. That was the beginning of the sisters' departure from familiarity, of history, of community culture, to journey uncharted paths into the unknown. Like Zephaniah of the first reading, the CSJ community was entering a significant period of transition. Do not fear, O Zion. Let not your hand grow weak. The Lord your God is in your midst. He will renew you with his love. Be assured, the many hands of the sisters did not grow weak. It was indeed a crossover time, a moment in the life of the community. The inspired foresight and wisdom of the leadership of that time moved us to sacrifice our certainties, to put down what seemed so right for so long, and imagine that something else, somewhere else, could be right too. Mother Helen Patricia, Mother Athanasius Gurry, and so many like Zephaniah became catalysts for sweeping change that came with the move and with the dramatic effects that the Second Vatican Council had on religious communities and the church throughout the world. The provincial house took 3 years to build. Permission was sought and granted from Rome to borrow the necessary funds as a 20-year loan, not a mortgage, from the State Bank of Albany. Additionally, the Diocese of Syracuse agreed to assess parishes where our sisters ministered to help defray the cost and to assure the building of this magnificent chapel. The Fathers and Friends organizations held annual sales and bazaars from 1962 through 1968 to help repay our outstanding loans. The 20-year loan was repaid in 5 years. Behind the scenes, the sisters were busy engaging in their own creative financing. The original plans called for 369 bedrooms, 150 for postulants and novices. A green stamp drive was organized to purchase all the lamps in the sleeping areas. And Pepsi caps were collected in schools and in parishes and redeemed to buy the library furnishings. a group of talented sister seamstresses made all of the drapes used throughout the house, using 1 mile of material. And we postulants, and I remember this well, were the lucky ironers in the preparation campaign. At the time of its installation, the mosaic was the largest in the United States. But when completed, Mother Athanasius thought the face was a little mournful. When requested, the artist changed many pieces of the mosaic to render the more joyful expression we enjoy today. There are so many more anecdotes recorded by our beloved Sister Margaret Patricia Hogan, which preserves the history of those early days. The Provincial House is not a shrine, a monastery, an institution. Religious life in this congregation was built on the unshakable faith of our founders and their descendants in the generations that followed. The building is more than a structure of walls and roof. Fill it with sisters, with community, with the dear neighbor. Then, as Paul writes in Ephesians, we are fellow citizens of the saints and members of the household of God, with Jesus Christ himself as the capstone. It is a place where an effective relationship with Christ and the people of God is nurtured, fostered, and sustained. It is for many the place that grounds our lives, the place where many cherished moments of human experience unfold. Here we celebrate and we mourn. We come together, as we do today, to cherish the past and to explore the future, where we continue to be built together into a dwelling place for God in the Spirit. It is the place, post-Vatican II, where we were challenged to wrestle with our faith, to appropriate it in an adult fashion at community gatherings, retreats, and in contemplative prayer. But what of the present? The years have seen many changes in religious life and in this house. What has not changed is the call of the Sisters of St. Joseph to bring God's unifying love to a world in a spirit of hospitality and reconciliation. Our early ministries of healthcare and education have expanded to also serve the dear neighbor as spiritual directors, social workers, parish ministers, parish life directors, campus ministers, agency administrators, and a myriad of other ways of serving as we discern God's voice in community and in our church. Today's gospel reminds us that we are the salt of the earth. We are to be the light of the world, a city on a hill that should not be hidden. The Provincial House of 50 years ago gave life to the neighborhood then and continues to this day. It houses, in addition to the administrative offices of the community, the Carondelet Music Center, Bright Horizons, an adult daycare center, the Carondelet Hospitality Center, a gathering space for so many organizations, and a venue for theological updating and renewal. Deacons and healthcare professionals, diocesan groups, and many non-profit organizations come often to share the peaceful, sacred space the house affords.